Welcome to the meeting for the IDA CRC today, and as soon as I get rid of this guy, we can start this meeting. Thank you for coming out. We're going to start with the IDA, and we're going to ask for the approval of the minutes from the October 28th meeting. Any questions on that? So moved. Okay. Second? Second. Any questions from the board? All in favor? Aye. Any nays? One abstain. One abstain, Danae, in case you get that later. Okay. Move on to the executive director's report. Steve?
Sure. A couple things just to mention, and I guess I don't really need to mention this, but CFO for Hire is going to upgrade our accounting system, so we're going to be online. It doesn't cost us anything additional, but helps them work with us a little bit better. Trip, I purchased 4 tickets as sponsorship for their event the other night, just for the record, $125 or $150 a piece. I know Latasha was there, Danae was there, I was there, and Albert was there. Also, I think of the name of the place now. Rafe Larson, we've done work with him in the past with why can't I think of the name of the place downtown? Echo. What?
Focus Labs.
Focus Labs. Thank you. He ran a basically with Climate Now podcast, which is a really big podcast. I subscribe to it as well. They put on an event called the Electric City. It was a 3-part podcast. Part of it was in Yale, part of it was at Cornell, and the other part of it was here at Troy. They asked us to sponsor it, and it helped us a lot because it gets us out there with the geothermal and everything we're doing, not just the geothermal, but even having Focus Labs there. I know we've given him some money over time, and so this is a $2,500 sponsorship of that event that I needed to approve. I needed to do before the next meeting. So I just wanted to let everybody know I sponsored that. The Restore application, we paid the $1,000 fee for the Restore New York application for the Sperry project that has been submitted to the state, and we're waiting to hear back on that. Also, I mentioned that last month there's a conference down in Long Island City. It's the International Clean Energy Association. So I mentioned Dylan Turek is going to that. I'm going to go to that as well. I think it was $200 a piece to go to that. We're driving down same day, no hotel, no nothing. But that's the cost on that. There is also a thermal energy, what is it called? It's a district geothermal network. It's IDA. It's the same group that I just talked about. They're putting on a campus energy conference, and it's in Texas in February. And Dylan and I would really like to go to that. It talks a lot about selling the product, like the geothermal, what people are doing as far as networking, how they're putting these together, how they're financing them. It is a $1,000 a piece conference, plus flight, plus air. Anybody else wants to go, let me know. But I'd like to go ahead and do that. That'll be, again, the end of February. And that is it for the executive director's report.
The Texas trip that you offered everybody to go, is that they're paying individually to go, 1,000 plus a ticket, or?
We're paying, well, actually, no, we're invoicing it, so it's an IDA expense.
Okay. So you're covering anybody who wants to go to Texas for that conference to learn more about it.
I think I'm throwing the offer out there if you guys want to do it, yes.
Cool. I could possibly have an interest in that.
Okay.
How soon do you have to know?
Just to get your flights and your hotels reserved. Although the conference, I think if there's a deadline, there's a cheaper rate through probably the next week. But if you want to go.
And what's the date on that?
February 20. It's the week of February 27th. So it's Monday through Thursday. We never travel anywhere. Also, you had approved previously for Dylan to go to a conference in Colorado, which he did not end up going to. So that's it for the executive director's report.
Motion to accept executive director's report?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Great. Now we're gonna talk about the initial project resolution for King's Landing. I believe that's what we're having the presentation on, am I right?
Yes, so this is a 5-story building that we've actually, we had an initial project resolution previously, 2 years ago. There was a lot of pushback from the neighborhood, a lot of redesign of the project. Obviously, there's a lot of the neighborhood here right now to look at today's presentation and as well as be at the public hearing when we have it. It's a 52 apartment, building, and 5 stories. They're retaining most of the buildings on Fifth Avenue, with the exception of the parking garage. There's a garage there, so that will come down and be infilled. And Justin, do you have anything you need to say about this, or do we just hand it up to the presentation?
You can start the presentation now, and then, if the board has any questions, that a motion could be made on the.
Okay, so we have Cosmo Marfani from
Sure.
BDC Group. And actually, the name of the company is Kings Commons 2 LLC.
Like this. Okay, good morning. I usually do this in the evening, so good morning. My name is Cosmo Marfione. I'm the managing director for, and I'm here to present to you the newest and approved site plan approved for Kings Landing. Just a couple of, today I just want to briefly talk about highlights, some of the architectural, go over the City of Troy Comprehensive Plan. We had an economic impact study done for the project, which we usually updated for the last 2 years. Summary of project benefits, and then I'll answer any questions. The highlights. So it's located northeast corner of New Federal Street and Fifth Ave. Like I said, in the 3-4 Central Commercial Zoning District. Going to be
Cosmo, I got a question while we're waiting to bring that up. The original picture we seen in the beginning, it's, because I know there was some, I guess, some conflict about tearing down the building, putting up the building. Is that a picture of the building that, when things are torn down, could it be built, or is that incorporating the buildings on King Street for that final product?
It incorporates the buildings on, that's the final product.
It'd be a heck of a project, turn those homes into something that looks like.
Yes, it is. So like I said, we have about 42, not about, 42 residential units in the new building. And then we have another 10 spread across the 3 existing building and an infill building. On F. We have 36 indoor parking spaces, some of which were earmarked for Kings 1, 14 outdoor parking spaces, and we have a 600 square foot retail area on the first floor, right on the corner of North Federal and Fifth. And then we're able to program about another 600 square feet of outdoor seating area right at the corner. That could be utilized, for the retail or for the residents, or, we still kind of. Actual. I do that. This is the site plan, just to get everybody familiar. This is the northeast corner of Fifth and Federal. Got the area that I was talking to you about. This is the retail lobby entrance on one side, but this is that area. for the retail. This is, as you can see, this is this, again, the corner. These are the 1, 2, and 3 existing buildings, and this one right here, this red one right here, would be the new infill building, in keeping with the same character as the existing. We're going to, there's going to be quite a bit of a rehabilitation program that's for the facades and the inside of those units. Very expensive, very costly. The idea behind this project was to activate this whole, the new Federal Street area, and that's why we wanted to make sure that we programmed space on that corner so that it could be a little bit more active. People, seating, so on and so forth. This is a view down Fifth Avenue looking south. This is the new building essentially wraps around, and then we drop it down to about 3 stories, in keeping with the townhome look that we have on that street. Okay, so again, this is 1 existing building, 2 existing building, 3 existing building, and the infill. The garage would be on the 1st floor. We know there's an emergency ingress and egress through here. Well, that's just emergency. There'll be a knockdown bollards or gates, but we programmed the traffic to go into the alley through New Federal or King on Fifth Ave. This is a view from, looking northeast from the Federal Street. This is the building. So that alley is well lit, cameraed, safe, parking, changed program for the alley, 4 or 5 street parking. We plan on programming some of the roof, the new Federal Street side. Again, this is a more blow-up area.
Southeast corner of the building, northwest corner of the
northwest
intersection.
corner, right. The entrance going into the building. This is that retail area, and this is the area for seating. So whenever we do a project, we go and look at the comprehensive plan, and we make sure that whatever we're proposing is in keeping with any municipality's comprehensive plan. We studied the City of Troy's comprehensive plan deeply. We hired outside consultants and planners to help us study that plan. And just a couple of things that we wanted to emphasize is that the plan talks about increasing downtown population, promoting the city center as a key area for residential growth, and have a better mix, a better availability of housing stock and mix and kind of mixed use. That's why we want to try some of that, some of the retail area on the floor. The crime prevention, that's a big thing for me. That alley is not a good alley. It wasn't a good alley. As we're building, keeping crime away from there by video cameras, lighting, wall packs on the wall, and now when we build the next building, if we can build the next building, we'll introduce even more cameras, more lighting. That will help with reduce the crime, if not eliminate it. Value. Okay? That's very important for us to do that. We had a third party do an economic impact evaluation. We are going to create 50 to 75 construction jobs on the project for at least 18 months, and then 6 full-time jobs, 3 of which will be staff that we need to operate the building, and 3 in the retail area. And these statistics, you know, New York State Drive website and this, you have a whole report. These are just some charts that I wanted to bring attention. Typical spending, pre-tax income is broken up between housing and transportation, and then goods and services. As you can see, we predict 95% occupancy based on this unit mix, that there'd be something around 3.5, 3.6 of pre-tax income that the development will generate, and about 32%, as I said, is spent on goods and services. So we expect an annual purchasing power of about 1.15 million that the residents will spend generally in Troy, but also in goods and services, restaurants, things of that. So the first phase cost us around $13.5 million. Second phase, a little bit smaller, but the price tag on this one is a lot higher. One, due to the current economic condition with the project, with goods and services that are costing higher for now, and also the project is a lot more complicated. So myself and my partners have, by 2024, we would have invested about $30.5 million. And just to highlight again some of the key benefits, we're committed for another $17 million. Generation of new tax payments to all applicable jurisdiction over the course of the pilot term, consistency with the community land use plan and the Troy City plan, the 52 new households, enhancing vitality and creating 24/7 atmosphere in the downtown, creating more jobs, $1.15 million of new discretionary spending with the Greater Troy community, and we anticipate, obviously, building permit fees, and contribution towards that revitalization of that new Federal Street corridor. And that's why, if you look at the plans, we've also earmarked 4 or 5 parking spots if they ever, part of the plan is to get rid of that one lane. Sure that we have bigger, we're planning for bigger sidewalks along that side of the property to accommodate parking and people, coming out of their cars, and hopefully, we can have some landscaping schedule for it. Hopefully, there's not much in the way in terms of plantings. Problem on the first project where you encounter utility ducts and appreciate your time today. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Board have any questions?
I'll put that in before that, when we talked about New Federal Street. So this is the Federal Street study that is underway right now. We've gone through, we have members of the community involved with this, and this looks at putting roundabouts on Federal Street at
Kingston River.
Yeah, Kingston River, and at 6th Avenue as well, doing some narrowing of the street, making it more of a pedestrian-friendly crossing, so you can get across that street instead of the barrier that it is right now. Mm-hmm. The final draft of that will be online. There will be a kind of, when you're available to watch it, internet video participation survey between December 8th and December 22nd. It hasn't been announced yet, but we just talked about it yesterday. So the public is welcome to attend that as well. And certainly through that whole process, we looked at this potential development as well and how it would fit in with that, as well as the development across the street, which is underway now, the addition of 2 floors onto that building. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out. Now that I've said that,
Thank you, Steve.
Any other questions from board members?
How's your current building performing?
At anywhere between 95 and 100%,
How many units is that?
52 units.
About the same breakdown as far as 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms?
A little bit different.
Yeah.
There's no retail in that, is there?
There's no retail.
No retail, okay.
How long do you anticipate the lease up?
For the
Residential.
for the residential part of it, taking anywhere from 12 to 18 months usually. That's what the first one took, 12 to 18. But we had COVID, so it was a little challenging. You know, when you're 100% occupied, people want to live there. There is demand. We have people on waiting lists.
Any other questions? I noticed the word pilot on there again. Of course, that happens with a lot of projects, and I'm really not a fan of pilots unless they're used properly. Can you tell me what you're conceiving or thinking about? And would this be the time to mention that, about what you're thinking? Are you gonna try to push the 30-year limit, or you have like a speculation of where you could stay within something more reasonable for the taxpayers of Troy?
We haven't started those conversations yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, and
So this is not time to ask that. Okay, well, just keep that in mind, because I'm gonna ask that later.
Yeah.
All right?
Next month, we anticipate having
All
a
right, cool.
hearing, and at that time, we'll have a structure.
Right.
And I would just say that the 30 years are more for the affordable housing projects.
Yeah.
So it would just not be.
It's all market rate, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Since you're putting $5 million into this project, does that include the purchase of those properties, or
17 million includes the
No, the
purchase.
$5 million that you're
the
putting,
$5 million you're putting in? Does,
your equity?
Oh,
Yeah,
my
your
equity.
equity, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 5.8 million. Yes, that includes. Yes, it includes the purchase of the property.
are those properties vacant now, or?
The property is vacant currently.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking about the existing houses?
Yeah,
The
the
existing houses, I
yeah.
believe, are vacant. Yeah.
Or are you'll own those existing properties through this project?
Yeah, we'll
Those 3
probably.
additional, or 2 additional houses, whatever it is.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay.
Right. It'll be.
So they'll all be
it'll
a
be
part of
one
your-
project.
Got it.
It's all
But
gonna
right now, it
all
would be
parcels
one
merged.
project unless John tells me that we have to break it down in a different.
Got it.
So it'll be one tax lot, so we could have one project,
Yep.
one.
And you'll manage leases in those 3 existing
Yes.
facilities?
Yes.
Got it.
It'll be
Okay.
all the
Yep.
same lease, same program.
And you're gutting those and,
Yes,
Yeah.
we're gonna take, we're gonna take all the additions that were put on through the years in the back. We're gonna try to work with what originally was intended to be there, which was smaller, less deep building, like 30-foot deep.
The application has 18 exterior parking spaces, and I think in your presentation it said 14. For the ones that
I'll
are
take a look at that.
not undercover, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. We've been going back and forth with this for a while, so we may have missed it. I believe it's 14, that's the latest render, so we'll amend the
Yeah,
application.
if you have the latest, we're tracking 18 in the
Okay.
project description right now in our resolution, but we can adjust it.
Let me take another look at
Yeah,
that.
just wanna make sure we're right.
Yeah, I just want, we may have counted in the application the New Federal Street, the eventual 4 spots on New Federal Street. So we'll probably advise, maybe we talk with Steve.
Those are gonna be improved on city land and just, there'll be public spaces outside, you're just gonna split them up?
Yeah.
I doubt it has been, but has there been a survey on the current residents in the first development? How many are parking in the spaces and how many are parking outside of the building?
I think it's one.
Sure, so right now, out of the residents, we have, all the parking that is available is rented.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, there's around 54, there's in total 54 cars, and we're providing, 42.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another 12 spots that are parking on the street.
Got it.
What have your challenges been managing the first phase?
That alley,
Yeah.
a little bit,
Okay.
but we have cameras, we had
Yeah.
to, like, our maintenance people had to, like, ask people to politely leave and
Okay,
also be there,
okay.
you know, if there's some shady activity
Yeah, sure,
happening.
sure.
Right. We had one incident when somebody just followed somebody in and iPads,
Okay.
but that's about it. It's really been a great,
good.
it's been a great project, yeah.
How many renewals have you had, lease renewals?
It's been,
So, you know, I guess wondering, you know, has there been a lot of turnover? 'Cause, you know, when something's new, people are excited, and then, you know, that could change.
I would say, you know, around 30 to 35% have been, constant renewals since the beginning. Like, they've been there for like 2-3 years.
Why such an interest in Troy?
I went to school here.
Nice.
Went to RPI, 96 to 2002, and
Okay.
like Troy.
Doesn't help that it's growing pretty rapidly, and we're getting a lot of people coming in. Availability to fill those apartments pretty quick with the, we into Troy.
Yeah.
See that everywhere, you know.
Yeah, I had a good experience being here in Troy when I was
Yeah.
a student.
How long ago was that?
1996 to 2002. Did a couple extra years to do some more studying, and then I realized that I had to go study all the time.
No, lifetime student work.
I couldn't do lifetime student.
Doesn't usually work.
Mom
Man,
said,
you've
all
done
right,
it.
you've had fun.
Especially
Go
at
You've done it,
RPI.
let me tell you.
Ain't cheap.
In my firm, you know, my partners and the folks that work for me, there's a lot of RPI and a lot of folks that live around here, so.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, move to vote, to accept the initial project resolution and move forward. Has there been public comment or on this resolution? Do we have public comment here?
We have a public hearing next month. There's no reason we couldn't if the board wanted to. I mean, you're gonna hear it next month, or you may as well hear it this month, so.
I'd be interested in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, a couple of my comments affect the resolution specifically.
Okay.
There's another typo in addition to the parking spaces. The resolution implies that the 52 units are in the new building, not the combination of them.
Project the entire,
Yeah, but the description of the project is a new building, not building plus renovation plus install. You don't have to do what we did with single lending launch and change the resolution. Property tax IDs. 2 months later, you had to redo the resolution. Anyway, the other thing I want to say is, I would very strongly urge you to include language requiring conformity to what was passed by the planning commission. First building changed the composition and design of the apartments to the planning commission, and the city administration, various departments feel like basically handed it off to each other, and no one claimed responsibility for requiring that what was built was actually what was passed by the planning department. So, you guys are in a position to require that for any pilot, right?
And that would,
Strongly urge that language.
and that would just require, that would probably relate to the number of units and the number of rooms. I mean, most of it, for the original plan, that's what changed, not the actual building, which is what the planning commission, I understand what he's saying, is looking for some kind of language talking about conformity with the number of units and the number of.
There's also changes to the exterior design, about the siding and a couple of other things required at the meeting where it was asked to require the exterior of the building to conform to what the planning. And, I have some comments about the profitability. I would also urge you guys to, if the pilot is going to be large, to inquire, to get the financials of the building, to understand the breakdown. Pilot is even required because according to the figures presented here, 1.3 million in rent, not including the retail on a 17 project. Cap rate pretty healthy. And I have other comments about the support for the project and the environmental impact for downtown and the views from the district and from the water. Those are all things you're supposed to consider.
For the record, can I get your name and approximate address?
Paul Topolo, and I'm on Fifth Avenue, across from the church.
Anyone else? Please state your name, please.
I live at Avenue, just on the block from Paul. I want to bring up, parking spaces have been along the way. I just want to say that on Fifth Avenue, that they are claiming they're already available. They are not new. That's part of the street. Several streets, but not. Point of it. One of the current buildings that is are still partially questions about on the public. Oh, and the one last thing was in our understanding at the IDA fund that DB an extra parking lot at the corner of J. On Fifth. Go back and look at the minutes. Exactly the language of the point that we.
Right, you said the parking lot on the corner of Jacob and Fifth.
Right.
So that was never discussed in Kings One. That was initially proposed for this project. Had it there. It was never discussed for Kings One. Not that I remember, and I was here for that whole thing. That was something that came up. We thought it was a good way to appease the neighborhood, the fact that there was parking issues, but the neighborhood really didn't want that to occur.
Right.
So that's not a part of it.
Yet another parking lot.
That's been since removed, yes.
Right. So if the idea was that they would get on Fifth.
That was the original concept that I spoke with them about. Yes, in exchange for the land, we would do that. But, so now it's something that LBC, all the property, that parking lot on the corner that you're talking about is not part of the deal.
Right. Not like a quid pro quo there in that.
Been removed.
It's a quid
Now it's just a
pro
quid.
quo.
There you go.
So just
Any other questions? Comment? Thank you. Thanks for your input.
Steve,
Okay.
one question I have, when the public hearing takes place, do you bring those comments to the pilot vote, or will they be included in our package, or should we be present for those comments? How does that?
have the hearing before the meeting.
So you have the public hearing
Yep.
at the same day before the meeting.
Yep.
And then you have, close the public hearing, then you
Got
have
it.
the IDA meeting.
So we'll be here for the public hearing?
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
So you'll hear those again, and
Got
we'll
it.
look at
Okay.
them again, obviously.
Got it.
The public hearing is centered on, the purpose of it is to talk about the financial assistance.
Yep.
The IDA doesn't serve as a seeker or site planning board.
Yeah, we have,
We don't
yeah,
touch
that's,
on those issues.
right.
So
Yep.
the project comes to us in the form that's
That's all been
described
taken
and
care of.
approved by the planning commission.
Got it.
Typically, and we're focused on sales tax, mortgage
Yep.
tax, and pilot.
Yep.
Whether the project, merits that or not.
Perfect.
Kind of center the comment. So talk about siding and height and, that kind of.
Good. Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Any other questions for the board? Move the vote. All in favor of moving the project forward for discussion and, negotiation? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, moving on. Financial, IDA financial. Thank you, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving to all.
Yeah, take care, guys. Thank you.
Need to provide that as LLC, right?
Well, moving forward, won't it?
Well, you need to know.
I know where you're going.
Prohibition against getting that, or requirement to get that?
As part of our due diligence for the pilot, they gave us some project pro formas.
But that's not really.
What about personal then?
You get
You're
any
trying to figure out
financial?
if they actually have the $5 million in equity?
So the,
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
so the question would.
Well, that's
so
a
that
great
would-
question.
So that would be if they had to,
Well, I'm sure they have to submit it at some point. If they get bank financing, they gotta submit it. It's good to know that they can support the project. That's what I was getting at.
We can get a sense of their project pipeline, the other assets that they hold, development group, and they're all firewalled in different LLCs with different partners probably that have equity. If they have a dozen projects, they might have just as many partners or more.
Well, that's what, personal financial statement.
You can ask for that, and we
Yeah,
would have to hold it probably confidential.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll look at that.
As a subcommittee, I know that you're getting more involved, that'd be a good bit of bandwidth that you could contribute to, so that's,
I asked Albert because.
in all your free time, right?
Yeah,
But,
with all of his banking experience to help us on this pilot review.
I mean,
So,
they got,
we can-
they got other projects. You need to know that they can support.
Okay, financials.
Report statement of financial position. October 31st, our total assets are $1,308,028.25, with $908,650.65 in cash, $1,904.03 in liabilities. So our fund balance is $1,124.22.
I'll include that $906,000 in cash does not include our payments to the city for professional services of $100,000 that we do annually. So that actually is $100,000 less. There will be $100,000 less next time you look at it.
Next report is the statement of activity. For the month of October, we have a deficit of $7,150.15. Our notes keeping it towards the revenue, and the largest expense is the architecture expense for the topographic and utilities for phase 5 development.
Any questions?
Yeah, so what's up with City Station East and West?
They are currently paid, they're all paid.
Oh, they're paid up? Okay.
Other questions? Motion to accept the financials.
Make the motion.
Okay, I'll vote the motion. Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Financials accepted. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
IDA is adjourned. Slide right into the CRC. Okay. CRC meeting, approval for the minutes, October 28th board meeting. Any questions? I have a motion.
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second?
A second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay,
same.
same, one abstain. Okay, Executive Director's Report, Steve, CRC.
Two items. One is that Trinity Healthcare Partners pretty much annually does a bonding in Michigan or financing in Michigan for all of their satellite places all over the place, including Samaritan locally here. Normally, if they were doing that here, we would get a fee from them, and we haven't been getting a fee, so this year we argued a little bit more back on that, and so they will be giving us $10,000. We're not really, didn't have to do anything other than hold a public hearing.
What's the par amount, do you know, that's locally?
Locally, it's $5 million, which would be about $50,000 to us if it went through here. So 10,000 is better than 50,000, but I wasn't gonna get 50,000, and the alternative was zero. So,
Don't have the hearing.
we could, but we did not do, I mean, we didn't have to go through a lot of the process that we normally do. I made my point to them.
Instead of going to the CRC as a local issuer, they're able to use a nationwide issuer that has the ability to issue bonds in every state. So they do that because they have a health system that is 20 states wide. So instead of issuing bonds through the CRC, they're going through a Michigan-based issuer. So
And
we
their-
missed the opportunity for the administrative fee at closing.
And their Michigan fee didn't sound like it was that big for that whole project.
Right, they get negotiated when they're that large.
Yeah. So there's that. So that's 10,000. It's been invoiced yesterday, so we'll have that on the next financial report.
Better not.
Yeah, better than nothing. The LBCA, I'm just keeping this placeholder out there that the Local Development Corporation adopted their budget today. They owe CRC funding, if you remember, to cover the delay in closing of the Alamo and to cover their cash flow before they are able to sell King Fuels. While the Alamo closing is anticipated to happen soon, the King Fuels is not anticipated to happen soon, so we'll probably be coming back to the CRC and asking for an extension of that loan, which was supposed to be repaid upon the closing of the Alamo and upon the sale of the King Fuels lot. So probably want an extension for the closing on the Alamo, just to through. If you look at the CRC's financials when we get there, they have assets, the ability to do that, so it'll be up to you to decide if or how you want to extend that out when I bring it back. Probably do early next year at a slow meeting.
Any question on the executive report? Motion to accept.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor? Aye. Financials for CRC.
Yeah.
Report is the
Okay, go ahead.
statement of financial position of October 31st. We have total assets of $431,585.81. $1,585.81. Cash. We have $255 in liabilities, so our fund balance is $431,330.81. So we can change the statement of financial position. Fourth is the statement of activity. In the month of October, we have a deficit of $2,587.86. There are no significant sources of revenue, and the largest expense is the architecture revenue reconstruction.
Questions from the board? Motion to accept the financials.
So move.
Second? Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay. You wanna bring something up?
I'm
before we
gonna
adjourn?
jump back to the Electric City podcast. That's Focus Labs. I think I talked about that in the wrong agency. So, the CRC is sponsoring the Focus Labs, project that I've already talked about previously. Thank you. Danae?
Any new news? Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second? Everybody smile. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right.